Good morning, Frank, and welcome to Highland. We're so pleased that you could join us today as we celebrate our 125th anniversary. Frank, we go back a long way, indeed. I remember we traveled together on a trip to the Holy Land in the mid 70s. And I remember your being adventurous and curious, so well read, kind, gracious, and thoughtful. Uh, and of course, in ministry as a great pastor and preacher and organist. And not least, I consider you a good friend. Our wives go back even longer. I think when Angela was a camper at Oneida, your wife Esther was her camp leader, and her camp name was Star. Anyway, welcome once again. And I wonder if you could just share a few of the highlights of your time here at Highland.
Well, thank you, Doss. First of all, let me say congratulations to Highland on this 125th, and bring the greetings also from Ontario Street Baptist Church in Stratford. I'm glad to see that we, that is Ontario Street Church, were present at the council that established the Berlin English Baptist Church 125 years ago. I'd like to think of some of the delightful things, and there are so many I remember while I was Highland. Let me start off with a wedding. As you know, Doss, a wedding can take place under license, but also by the church providing the reading of banns. The only thing is they have to be read on the Sunday before the wedding. And in this one case, after the service, I saw the family going by, and it suddenly occurred to me that I had forgotten to read the banns. The service was over. It has to be a constituted service. It was the beginning of summer, and the church was now meeting at 10 o'clock, and there were no midweek meetings at all. What was I to do? Ask the couple to go and get themselves a license? And then I heard the Romanians singing a hymn down the hall. You can imagine how quickly I rushed down the hall to their service, carrying all the documentation. It was duly translated into Romanian, read in Romanian. There were no objections.
Frank, did you read it in Romanian?
Why? I let somebody else do that. There were no objections, and we went ahead. One more of that kind of memory. A wonderful thing is the first grandchild in 1998, November. And Bob Patterson Watt informed me as a new grandfather that I was going to be the object lesson that Sunday morning. The children came down, sat on the steps, and Bob pointed to me and said, "I want you to look at Mr. Morgan. Does he look different?" And there was a pause, and then a little hand shot up, and a voice said, "His hair's neat."
You know, Frank, I remember when your hair used to look like Einstein's. It was very impressive.
Well, at least the hair itself, maybe not what's underneath it. Well, Bob took that, and he caught the pass, and he ran it down for a touchdown.
Got terrific.
Yep, as he usually does. There's so many wonderful people and wonderful memories. I remember Penny Kibble saying to me, "I've prayed about this, and we have thought that there needs to be an agency to look after the needs of parents of young children. It will fill a niche in this community for things like clothing and toys. And at that time, you could have cribs and buggies. It was unique. And the Children's Needs Distribution Center began as an answer to prayer and continues as an answer to prayer for this whole community with Connie and Mary Faith and all of those who are working with them.
Yes, indeed. It's a great ministry of this church, and we're so grateful for its beginning in your time. Absolutely.
Certainly is. And you know, you meet so many wonderful people. Sometimes you have just missed people you only hear about, but I'm so glad I got to know all of Dob. Olive used to drive people all over the place in her car, and then suddenly found out that she couldn't drive anymore. She had to give up her license, which she did very quietly. And her approach to this was, well, now that she couldn't drive, she hadn't ridden the bus very much. And she was going to get on the bus, the GRT, and she was going to take all the routes and see where they went. That was one project she had. She had another one. I went to see her one day, and she had something on the scale of a pulpit Bible with print 4 times the size of any pulpit Bible I've seen. And she had a magnifying glass with high magnification with a halogen light inside it. And she was once more beginning at Genesis and reading all the way through to Revelation. Estimate at a time, one book at a time, one page at a time, one paragraph at a time. No, one word at a time. For her, it was one letter at a time, I think. And that she was glad to be doing that and to be able to do it.
Frank, it's wonderful to have people like that in the history of a church, people who continue to inspire us and lead us forward in our own discipleship. Frank, I wonder, as I alluded to earlier, we've been in ministry for a long time. I wonder what kind of advice you might give to people who are starting out in ministry.
Well, I would think, first of all, of some of the old advice that used to be given to people who are thinking of ministry. One would be try and think of something else. Don't do it unless it turns out that is what it has to be and your calling is confirmed. Or maybe to confirm your calling, you might take a semester of Greek first and then ask yourself, can I do this? For those who are beginning in their ministry after preparation, going toward ordination and so on, I would say you have not left learning behind with your seminary professors. You are just entering a period where you are going to continue to learn from others, and so be open to that. Continue to learn from your congregation, from your community, from your God, and keep in touch with all of them all the way through, and also from yourself. Keep in touch there too. That would be my advice. I would say, love your people, and they will return that love in spades. And always remember the expectation, the gospel plea. We would see Jesus. And offer
Frank, what wonderful advice, and what wonderful and amazing insights. You leave us hungering to hear, as we wait to hear you and the message that you have for us this day. I know there are so many areas we've not covered. We talked earlier about some of your hobbies, walking and cooking and watching trains, reading, and I know that some of that will likely be reflected in your message to us. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you enrich us today with your presence, and I'm sure with your message. God bless you.
Thank you, Doss. Happy anniversary.